You're watching Fanboy Versus with your hosts, J.D. Church, Nicole Hale, Chris Triplett, and Chris McFeely.
And you are watching Fanboy Versus. I am your host, J.D. Miraculous as it may sound, Chris Triplett, Chris McFeely, and Nicole Hale are here again.
Woo-hoo!
I know.
They weren't kidding about that Mayan apocalypse.
I know. Like, weeks in a row that the entire cast is here. Strange that it is. It is Fanboy Versus the new intro, so if you're watching the pre-recorded video version, we hope you like it. Let us know what you think. It was Brian Kilby's idea, and so we thank him, and he put that together for me, actually, so I didn't have to do anything. He was just like, here you go. I was like, sweet. So
the rest of us haven't seen it, so you're probably going to see it before we do.
I know. It's a mystery to them.
Apparently.
We'll talk about it probably again next week. I doubt it, but we might. So, yeah. So here we are, once again. Chris McFeely, tell us, sir, is there news?
There's not much news that I can find. I would probably have had come on here and said there was no news if
a thing?
If like an hour ago we hadn't had some news. Which was the maybe not totally surprising news based on rumors we had heard last week, and we had addressed these, I think, on the show.
Mm-hmm.
What was it, last week? I think we did, yeah. Which is that it has been confirmed now that Gail Simone will be leaving Batgirl.
Wow.
Oh,
You know, which issue?
Two thumbs down.
Which issue is she leaving, do you know?
I believe 17 is her last. Wrapping up the death of the family.
Well,
Guess I'll get 18 and then I'll drop it.
Well, that's, you joke, but I don't even think that's not happening. Gail Simone has and this is not like a reflection on the quality or not of the comic, but it is a simple fact that Gail Simone does have an audience that she brings with her.
Yeah,
That's the one reason why I'm reading it.
Yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do with her not on that book, man. That is, and I mean, I dropped it a little while back, and it wasn't because of her. It was just, I don't know. I just couldn't get into.
I'm the same. It wasn't clicking for me.
It just wasn't there. So, but
it's one of the few DC books I still get, honestly. So I don't know. I just only buy much DC,
But this is also sort of coinciding with her DC exclusive contract being up. So I don't know if she's jumping ship or what, I mean, that's her last book.
No, the word is that it has been, she confirmed herself through Twitter that she was informed via email this Wednesday that she would no longer be the writer of Batgirl.
Wow.
No. Yeah, that is pretty classy, DC.
God. What?
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about it. There are, and not gone into a lot of detail, but recently, but what the hell is going on at the DC offices?
Yeah, it seems like it's been a while since there were any particularly huge. Gail Simone is like 90% of the reason that book has managed to find approval and acclaim. She was the only, I think we said this way back at the start, is like she was really the only writer that could have written Batgirl.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was an uproar that it was Barbara out of the wheelchair and Batgirl again. Uproar and total. It's like Gail Simone was the only name that could be put on that book to placate people and give them, like, people could say, I will buy this. Give them a reason to actually buy it and enjoy it. It was a way to say that it was okay for them to enjoy it instead of to immediately just hate it. She was the reason that the whole premise succeeded.
Yeah, and I think that book could even continue, possibly. I mean, now that it's a thing that is in the world...
Oh, yeah.
I think people are okay with it, and it could continue as a book. But if it hadn't have been for her coming in and, really, I think, doing about as good a job as anybody could have done to establish it, there's no way it would still be a viable book.
I mean, I have essentially come to the conclusion that it wasn't anything to do with Gale that it wasn't clicking for me, or I don't know about you, JD, but I just had no interest in Barbara. Is what I had to come to the conclusion of. And
Yeah.
my view of it was kind of misplaced as well. I wanted to believe that the reason we were only getting vague references to how she started walking again was because Gale had a long-term mystery she was planning to unfold. So I let that go at the start, and I can't say I definitely know now, but I believe with near certainty at this point that it's simply because DC don't know themselves.
Yeah, and that's getting into again.
Probably they just don't want to. They probably just don't want to direct it. They probably just want to forget about it.
But the larger issue, and the larger issue, I think, again, is that this is not just a problem with this book that DC is having.
Yeah.
They have got their heads up their asses as far as this relaunch. There's a few characters that they bothered to care about, as far as saying, okay, this is the current new history. But there's a lot of side characters that just have gotten no treatment whatsoever. And their response is, wait and see. Which basically means, we don't know either. And we don't want to set it down.
I was against it at the very start, because I was having trouble believing that DC were honestly going to go through with this 100% and just completely reboot the universe. Because even though, historically, that's how they play that way, I thought maybe because the comics fandom is so insular and shrunken now these days that they wouldn't go through it. I thought the times were different. I thought they would never actually go through with it. But now here we are over a year on, and they're obviously sticking with it. So the way I'm looking at it is, wow, you really should have gone all out on this.
Yeah.
You should have rebooted. You should have started everything over from the start again. And not done. And I mean, I'm not even talking like Green Lantern, Batman, where the continuity basically picked up. I mean, every book should have been an origin story out of the gate. Everything should have started from square one again, if any of this wanted to make any sense. And so we've got stuff on Batgirl where it's all this stuff happened, and we don't really know how it happened, but it happened. So look, it's Barbara, it's Batgirl. Look, Gail Simone, we put Gail Simone on the book. Is it okay?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, and then they're still doing it. They're going to bring Constantine, fully over, and who knows what they'll adjust or change with that. I mean, there's just.
To be fair, I mean, that's actually introducing somebody into the universe proper who hasn't really existed in it before.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. There's still going to be a change in the character. It's still, I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is there's still a lot of things going on where they just don't know what's going on. Editorial just does not go. Now, I do know that there was a meeting or something. All the DC offices had a meeting earlier in the week or something like that, and there have been some changes. The head of Vertigo was
actually, that was another piece of news I just remember, that Karen Barger has left as the head of Vertigo as well.
But there were some meetings that I don't know that the details of those meetings at DC have still have really come out. But I think they were meeting with every group at every level over there. There's some talk that they may finally move their offices West Coast. That I don't know. There's all kinds of rumors. There's some moving and shaking going on behind the scenes at DC as well. So. We're just going to have to, I guess, sit and wait and see what happens as far as that goes. But, yeah, I know that there was an editorial change where they put all the Superman books, I guess, under one editor now.
These are not bad ideas.
No, that's a really good idea. That's finally hey, these all might make sense together. It makes sense. I mean, Marvel does the same thing.
Books don't make sense. Scott Lobdell's writing them, so they don't make any sense.
Well, that's true. That's true. Somebody asked me if I was talking to a buddy of mine when I was gaming on Friday, and he said that he's reading Red Hood. I was like, "Why are you reading Red Hood?" Okay. So here's the deal. So he said he's reading Red Hood. I asked him why he's reading the Red Hood. Do you want to guess why he's reading Red Hood?
Controversy. Starfire.
Starfire. Thank you. Yep, that's it. So does he care about the story?
Nope. I pray to God it's got good art. Does it have good art on it?
I don't know who's drawing it now.
Yeah, I have no idea who's doing it now. It's just kind of wow. That's all. Well, better make sure you get issue 18 of DC Presents. because that's going to be a Starfire issue.
Starfire sure is on that. Orange boobies.
Woohoo! Before she just had
Too much tanning.
Before-
Too much tanning.
Yeah, you can't tell if she's an alien or she's from Jersey. But
Yeah, bright orange and huge hair. How do you tell the difference?
bright orange, huge hair, big knockers.
So Starfire is turning into Snooki?
I think Snooki is turning into Starfire, but I don't know. Yeah.
So what you're saying is that DC stance in 2013 is no aliens, new origins for all heroes that were once aliens.
Right.
This one's from Jersey. Superman's from what? Like he's
some-
actually from Kansas now.
To some, Jersey might seem like a foreign place. Actually, it looks like a war zone right now, sadly. So, but yeah. Okay. Wow.
We drifted off the topic there a little.
No, I think we're back on. I mean, essentially, again, what we're talking about is an editorial piece, and what's going on at DC. So, I don't know,
We
but
need
as
to
far
get Gail on here to have her talk about this. Gail,
I think so.
listen, everyone.
I think so. Someone ask her if she wants to jump on. We'll add her to the show and ask her what's up. I'm sure she would love
God,
it.
I hope if she is leaving DC, God, I hope she's going to Marvel.
Hope she comes through.
Please
Or IDW.
do something at Marvel.
You want to go to IDW?
Actually,
No,
I'd be
Mark-
happier to see her anywhere, really. I mean,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if she did something for Image, given the way Image are treating their creators so well right now.
Oh,
with all
yeah.
of the creator-driven, creator-owned, brand new #1s and things
Image-
that are coming out here. I'll give anything she does over there a quick look. Sure, yeah.
Image has become the Horizon Labs of comic books. It's basically like let us print your books, you own them, and make us money, and everybody's happy. Like, okay,
A concept.
yeah, crazy. Everybody makes money and win. Sweet. So, yeah, Image would be really good actually, and a lot
Not
of
that I'm not saying
possibilities
I
over
wouldn't
there.
want to see like what Triplett suggests, a Gail Simone written Punisher or Gail
Oh my
Simone
God.
She-Hulk or
God, I think the Punisher I would like better than She-Hulk. I love She-Hulk, but shit, I think Gail Simone on the Punisher could be one hell of a trip.
You know what just occurs to me is we don't have any word of a new Punisher series, do we?
He's
not
Thunderbolts now.
Yeah, he's
after
just
he
on
finishes
Thunderbolts.
Warzone.
He's in Thunderbolts, yeah, but there's no actual word of a dedicated Marvel Now Punisher series, is there?
Nope.
Nope.
That
Marvel,
would be a
the
good
door's
one.
open. Get in there.
Mm.
That's how you get me back to buying Punisher, because I'm done after Warzone.
Well, there's nothing for you to buy, so it's okay.
Yeah, so.
No, I'm not even getting Thunderbolts.
Yeah,
To hell
dear
with-
Marvel, I am not buying Punisher after Warzone. They're like, okay.
Actually, I think there is some kind of 5-week miniseries, weekly 1-month miniseries coming up, but I forget what it's called. Didn't even read Thunderbolts #1 this week. Meant to take a look at it, but didn't get a chance, and I don't really care anyway.
There you go. Good man.
Daniel Way, Whoopi. Had my fill of Daniel Way ruining Deadpool for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
They gotta put Fabe Nick on Thunderbolts and bring back Zemo before I'll buy that book again.
I have to be honest. I feel I'm okay with Thunderbolts being about different things. I think it has, as a concept, moved beyond needing to just be Baron Zemo and the Masters of Evil. I'm okay with it being other things. Not this other thing. This other thing is bad and smells funny. But
Are you okay with it being Fight Club? Remember Fight?
that was before it was okay to be other things. Now it is.
God. Anyway, well, Marvel's doing pretty good though. So.
Ellis's Thunderbolts is good. Was good, So that was the kicker that made it okay to be other things.
Is there any other news then?
Not I can think of.
Not particularly comic book.
Well, when we did see a new teaser poster for Man of Steel.
Oh yeah, that's right. And he's, as he should be, he's in handcuffs.
Yeah.
So
Are they kryptonite handcuffs?
no, so it's just sort of for show.
I was thinking it. I was assuming like anytime you would ever see Superman in handcuffs, it's because he's letting them do it for some reason. That's what I looked at.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, unless it's like some kind of super deal. but no.
It's like did you see a red sun over his head? Was there a red background? Remember?
It's hard to tell. It's a giant friggin' lens flare over most of the poster.
Yeah. Lens
Was
posters.
it a red lens flare? Was it red?
No.
Oh.
Movie poster as crafted by Michael Bay.
J.J. Abrams.
Yeah. But yeah, J.J. Abrams. So,
That's
anyway.
good. That's just general geekery and not comics. But we did get the trailer for Star Trek Into Darkness.
Yes, we did.
Oh, with Sherlock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With
With
probably
I mean,
one of the...
I'm not historically a Star Trek fan, but I really enjoyed the reboot movie, whatever you want to call it, the new film. So I'm looking forward to the second one, and the fact that Sherlock is in it is all the more reason.
Yeah. It looks good. I'm excited about it.
This is
And
one of
it's
those
also-
times where I'm not bothered about the fact that America has stolen someone from us.
There's a lot of exchange
Hey,
going on.
I am more than willing to give you back Russell Brand anytime.
Okay, but you have to take Madonna.
Oh, about that.
Sherlock back when we're done with him. We'll give him back when we're done. We won't break him. We
Right.
promise.
You better not. It's like last year, America discovered Doctor Who existed, and then they were like, "Oh, there's this other show that Doctor Who does as well, and I'm gonna watch that too." Oh, it's Sherlock, and now you've stolen him and you've put him in a film, 2 films. He's in The Hobbit as well.
Well,
Oh, is he in The Hobbit? Wow.
Doctor Who is exploding over here. You know why? Because I get tons of magazines at my work with it's like Doctor Who Overlord.
Wow.
So,
I don't want to
Yeah.
I can't like Doctor Who then anymore. It's it's too mainstream.
America discovered Doctor Who in the last year, and now it's now
we
you can't
can't
get away from
help
it.
it.
It's all
We
over fucking.
can't help it. We have nothing to watch. All our TV shows are not original and
Yeah.
awful, so we can't help it.
Yeah, I mean, even
Very true, actually.
even
I'm
one of the
watching
most
it.
popular shows, Walking Dead, isn't even original. So yeah. But no, Into Darkness also takes the award for having one of the most creative Star Trek titles. It's like, oh, it's Into Darkness. Yeah, Star Trek into
Darkness. Star
yes.
Trek : no colon.
No colon.
Oh,
No, it's just,
like
Into
in
Darkness.
Spanish or some shit.
Oh, wow.
I see what you did there.
Oh, so all right, that's it. We're good. Nothing of major.
That's about all the news I can think of.
I'm trying to remember. It seemed like there was one other piece of comic movie or something about
I was
this
thinking
Amazon.
there was something else, but Jesus,
I've seen some
There's
bits.
always continuing news reports about stars of the original X-Men movie signing up to appear in Days of Future Past.
Yeah.
And I think there was a rumor this week that James Marsden might be coming back. Maybe
Wow.
I can't remember. That was a rumor.
And but there was also some stuff
got
about
Patrick Stewart and they got Ian McKellen. That's a fact.
because they are not busy.
Right.
They're just doing stage. So, but also I thought I saw some stuff coming out of Amazon as well. There's been some talk, casting and some role stuff coming out of that.
Themyscira High.
Yeah, Themyscira High.
Give it its proper name. Its proper name, please.
So,
And it's never going to be as awesome as Themyscira High would have been.
right. That would have been the show, folks.
Angleman as this geometry teacher. It writes itself, people.
Was Hera the principal? I can't remember.
No, the
Was that-
principal was Cersei in disguise.
Yeah.
Oh,
Man, we really should
And it
get
would
these.
turn out that her boyfriend was Ares in disguise in the thrilling season finale.
Can I vote that as episode of the year? If we're gonna do the year.
Right.
Can I,
One that exists only in your mind.
That one or
See, this is what we need to do. We need to give up comic book reviews and just start writing a TV show.
Yeah.
TV pitch show, and we'll call it Pitch Reel.
Basically,
It'll
so
be-
I did for Arrow.
Pitch Reel.
That's, well, sort of. Yeah, well, they took our idea for an unrelated spoof of Arrow and sort of just turned it into an Arrow.
Right.
Yeah, an Arrow.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay. Well.
Wednesdays at 7. Followed by Themyscira High, only on the Hub.
God,
I I always say only on the hub every time I think of TV networks. No, but the CW is, of course, what would be showing.
Right, that would be the place where that would go. All right. Well, then let us get to
some comics
recommendations. We start with recommendations.
I like doing it.
Recommendation. I like to say it says a lot about me that I wear pink.
You're gussing it up too much. It's not, you're gussing it up too much. You should just be like, recommendations.
Yeah. All right. All right, Chris Triplett, start us off, sir. What shocking thing will you be recommending this week?
It's not fair. You guys got, awesome books, and, I can't help that I like what I like.
You're saying it's not awesome?
It is awesome, dude.
It is awesome.
I say it's amazing. I wouldn't say it's awesome.
Oh.
Superior to some of the books we're reviewing.
We would say that you might get to be the man for reading it and talking about it.
Yeah. I mean, how can we go a show without talking about Amazing Spider-Man? I mean, for God's sakes. It's like, dude, we're at 699. 699! There's one issue left, and the Amazing Spider-Man.
And also a point one. Wait, no, shut up! Don't ruin it.
There is a point one. Wait, that's not fair. I forgot about that. God. All right, fine. But dude, it's Amazing Spider-Man. It's number 699. It's like right after that issue we just got with that ending, which, spoilers for a book you should have read. I don't know why you didn't read it. Doc Ock and Peter Parker have switched places.
You don't say.
Doc Ock is in Peter Parker's body, and Peter Parker is in a dying Doc Ock's body, who's literally dying of a heart attack at the end of the last issue. Fast forward to this issue. People are trying to resuscitate him, trying to save him, and hey, they do, because I guess if they didn't, then, that'd be a pretty, quick issue, 1 page. It's like, call it Doc Ock is dead. And then that's like it, the book is over. But no, they resuscitate him, he's still alive, and then we basically, last issue was about kind of, Doc Ock in Peter Parker's body and what he's doing, and now it's more kind of like Peter Parker in Doc Ock's body, and what is he going to do? We get some of the backstory, which is awesome, where we finally, figure out how Doc Ock pulled this off, which, JD was wrong. We'll just go ahead and say it.
Thanks. You couldn't just say Chris McFeely was right. It had to be clarified.
Right, but super amazingly spot on, right? Totally, and the Octobot did it, and it was between 697 and 698 because comics. And I read the signs and always listen to me forever and make Themyscira high because I know it'll be.
Yeah, so I was going to say McFeely was right in the same breath of saying JD was wrong, so that I could say both. But JD was still sort of right. I mean, because as we find out in the issue, McFeely was right a little bit more. Just saying. Because the gold Octobot got Peter Parker literally right after the fight with the Hobgoblins. It showed it in the issue. But what we find out in this issue is Peter Parker's he knows that Oct has access to Parker's memories. So he realizes, that must mean I have access to Oct's memories. So he starts searching through his memories and he figures it out that back when Peter Parker first started using Oct's technology, like his helmets, like we were talking about, to control the Octobots. It kind of started there. He's been mapping Peter's mind as far back as you guys were saying maybe 600. Do you think that's
the story here that he talks about putting his brain patterns into the Octobots and taking over the city with them? That was 600.
Yeah.
And so every time. Yeah, every time he basically used that technology, Ock was just getting a little bit more until finally he had enough to I guess pull it off, and you've got of course even though it's the most direst situation, Peter Parker is in this body that's dying. He can't get any help from anybody because nobody would believe such a crazy story. There's even still time for crazy comedy stuff, which I thought was great. The whole thing, I mean, him thinking about, okay, God, what is Doc Ock doing with my body right now? And you get like the image of him snapping America's neck.
Yeah. God.
And then like him, like with Mary Jane, like kind of like grabbing her face and her saying, like, Peter, what are you doing? He's like, anything that I want,
Rape is funny.
Rape, man. That's
It's
not
just
funny.
awful. Him poisoning Aunt May and Jonas Senior. Even to the point of like him getting like the memories. Oh God.
Oh. Now, okay, we do have to talk about this real quick.
A little bit, yeah. This is what everybody was
Because
talking
there was a
about.
bit of controversy this week, and I thought that Dan Slott answered it perfectly. So, describe this bottom panel for us on this page, if you would, Chris.
So, like, in the bottom panel here, we basically get him, like, searching his memories, and he's, like, he moves around, and he sees, like, Spider-Man punching him. He says, like, Ock's dad, and then it gets to Aunt May, which, if you remember, there was a storyline in which Aunt May was gonna marry Doc Ock. So you get Aunt May in a wedding dress. She's looking at Doc Ock, it's like she's looking straight at him, we're viewing Aunt May, and she's saying, "Oh, Otto, stop being such a fuddy-duddy." And, like, Peter Parker's thinking in his mind, Aunt May, like, with a question mark. And then she says, "No one's going to know we did this before the wedding. It'll be our little secret." Followed by Peter Parker saying, "No! Stop!"
Wait. I've got a bit. Triplet, that was the excellent Aunt May voice.
Yeah, that was great.
Awesome.
Very good.
Aunt May by way of Her Majesty.
Wow. It's like, yeah.
Then we get the great little thing, shows outside door, like his door to the sale, and him like he's about to throw up or something. And then the next page, he's like, "Okay, literal mental note, that never happened. I can live the rest of my life without ever."
Okay. So, now, here's the deal. Whatever that little thing is, the secret, whatever it is in your head. Because she is in her full wedding dress, so I'm sure that there are some people that are thinking, like, hardcore, perverse, sexual things, which seem to be most people's indication. Like, they were going to run off and have a thing, like, but...
Peter Parker's pretty sick in the next panel, so...
Well, yeah, but wouldn't you be just as sick if you saw your Aunt May even, like, making out with Doc Ock?
Tongue wrestled with you.
Yeah, exactly. Tongue wrestled with you.
I don't have an Aunt May, right?
So, I think you could take this as, and probably as mundane as saying they kissed, which is probably the indication. But for some reason, a lot of people took this to a very dark place.
I don't know. I'll admit it was the first thought I had.
Yeah.
But then that's not the first. It's exactly the same reaction I had to the last time something like this happened with May. I think Slot wrote it. I don't quite remember.
Maybe
Peter
Doc Ock
found
just has maybe Doc Ock just has a tentacle tongue.
Wow.
The last time something like this happened with May, whenever Peter found her in bed with Jay, with Jonah's dad, and I was leafing through that comic, and my first reaction was to go, "Ah!" and I dropped the comic, and I didn't drop it like there was nobody around. I didn't drop it theatrically. It wasn't planned. Like my body reacted. I just dropped, "Ah!" And then after a second, I went.
Turn the page. And spiders on the page. Drop it. Spiders on the page is gonna bite.
But then after a second, I thought, fair play to you, old gal. I kind of, in many respects, I quite like the portrayal of Aunt May as a real woman with some kind of sexual appetite instead of a cardboard figure who makes wheat cakes every issue.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, but still, like, I don't think that there's any indication here that it goes horribly far.
Come on, though. He knows what he knows what his audience were going to think.
Oh yeah. But I think it's great that he went back and was like, it's really you people that are twisted and fucked up.
That's what is really finely toning his trollitude in the last couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
That is straight trolling, bitch.
Yeah.
I think they should go back to that at some issue, and it turns out that they were just playing checkers. Yeah,
God.
oh God, I can't believe Aunt May's such a horrible checker player. It almost makes me sick. I'm gonna forget this.
God.
I like the fact that this is called up in response to a nice memory, though, because Doc Ock did legitimately like Amy. Like, he didn't love her, as I said last time. He was just marrying her in order to steal the island with the disused nuclear power plant that she had inherited, but he did like her as a person.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that is interesting, though.
Yeah, like I was saying, we get like some funny stuff, deep, even though it's like deep, dark, secret stuff going on here. And I was kind of right, I'm going to say, when I said that what if that gold Octobot was actually being controlled by Peter Parker? Maybe he wasn't controlling it at that time, but we find out in this issue that he can control it. And it's walking around, and he's going to use it to get some help. Because that's going to be kind of part of his plan. That, he's searching Ock's memories to find out that if he's got just a super secret plan, because like he's got Doc Ock, he's probably got a billion ways to escape and survive and all this, so he's going to use one of his plans to get out. We get some stuff with the Lizard, because, his cell's right next door to the Lizard's. And, we finally, Peter finds out that, that it's Kirk Connors that's in the Lizard's body. Did the cure work?
I'm kind of torn about that because in one sense it kind of was interesting that, the Lizard was going to sit down there, essentially forever, torturing himself living inside that lizard body. And he really just intended to tell someone to sort of get it off his chest that he thought was going to die, but now he's told Peter inadvertently.
But I like this, and I like it for how it actually ends up, the end of the issue, because basically Doc Ock, or I want to call him Doc Ock because dude, look at the dude's face, jeez. Yeah. Peter Parker in Doc Ock's body initiates a plan, and basically with the the Octobot calls some reinforcements. It doesn't really kind of show you at the beginning, but then you find out Hydro Man breaks in, get him out. Scorpion, the Trapster, whole bunch of
because it's like Scorpion. Because we've said a couple of times, I wonder what Scorpion's doing these days.
Scorpion in a while. It's nice to see him get the press again.
Because we haven't seen him since the very beginning of Spider Island. Of that, sort of story arc.
Yeah, big time,
Yeah, it's been what was the last time that we saw him? It was the Spider Slayer thing, right?
Yeah, it was the Spider Slayer thing. Yeah.
So, yeah. But, so yeah, he gets these guys, making them think, oh, they're going to get a big pay to come and rescue him and save him. And so they're taking him out of the cell, and they think that he's reforming the Sinister Six. He's going to form the Sinister Six with the Trapster. Come on, seriously. I'm just saying.
I love all Peter's stuff.
Hey, the Trapster was good enough for the Wizard.
He was also called Pasty Pot Pete.
I love this Paste Pot Pete bit where he's like, I can't take this guy seriously. His name used to be Paste Pot Pete. It's not going to...
But the thing with the Lizard that pays off for me is, so they're leaving, and all the villains, like Spider Slayer and Morbius are begging for him to take him with them, and the Lizard doesn't say anything, and then he says, "Oh, Connors, I could use a good man about now, and will you join us?" And it's that's kind of interesting to me. Where are they going to go with that? Because he knows that he just told him that I'm really for Connors stuck in this body. I'm not a bad guy. I'm just stuck in the lizard body. Got to tell somebody, and he just told him that. So is that him? Because he even does this little part where he just kind of he looks at him. Is he knowing that that's Spider-Man now? I mean, is that the reason he did that? Is that...
No, I think it seemed to me like it had more to do he thought he might get out, I think he had resigned himself that he was going to be stuck down here permanently, and for just a moment it seemed like he might get out, and then didn't, especially with this last panel where his eyes are kind of...
Yeah, they go all lizard.
Yeah.
I was just kind of thinking that, well, maybe this is the thing where, he's got all these guys that think he's Doc Ock. He needs an ally. Here's this guy that, is his friend, basically, when he's not the Lizard, just admitting that now he is the Lizard. But, why would he tell him that? Why would he, when they're leaving, why would he say, hey, Connors, do you want to come with us? I need to get a good man with me.
Well, because he said, he's more thinking, and he even said it the next line. He wasn't really thinking. You know, it's just like he had a momentary thought like he might get him out too. But, you know,
Connors doesn't want to.
I think they're going to follow up with that. I think there's going to be something coming out of that. So that's
yeah. I
interesting
mean,
thing.
Spidey will have to follow up on it somehow, but Connors doesn't want to be free.
Yeah. But I mean, like, it was a cool issue. I like the idea of everything being like from like, you know, we saw none of the Spider-Man stuff in it. Like, you know, what is Doc Ock doing in his body?
Yeah.
We got none of that in this issue, and it was just kind of cool because it was like the other side. You know, one side was this is what Doc Ock was doing in Spider-Man's body. This side, it's what he's doing in, you know, Doc Ock's body. And then like 700, I assume the shit will hit the fans.
700 minutes to live, yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah. It's going to be a ride, man. Going to be a ride.
Good stuff.
I mean, some people were talking about spoilers for this issue. I didn't think there was anything that was particularly spoily. I mean, I guess if you were like...
just finding out how it happened.
If you didn't read the last issue, then
Yeah.
Yeah.
But God, if you didn't read the last issue, what's wrong with you?
Yeah,
is what I would be saying. The spoiler is what is wrong with you.
Spoilers, you're wrong.
But yeah, that's Spider-Man. I still like it. Surprise.
Wow. So, awesome.
Fun thing about this issue, actually, just before we go. Last page, letters page, bottom left, that's a letter from one of my customers.
Really?
Yeah.
So there you go.
Awesome.
Cool, yeah.
Oh,
Very cool. See, it's all connected. It's a very small world.
Oh, it's a very
Tom
incestuous little world. That's right,
yeah.
yeah. That's the one.
Cool.
Neat.
You know, I never wrote a comic. Not once. Never sent a letter. Not
Sent a letter.
Oh,
Yeah, I was
neither
going to say.
Yeah, I never wrote and sent a letter to any comic, like, period. Email, letter, or anything, ever. As much as
it's so easy to these days with email.
Yeah, I know.
You've never done it, you know?
Yeah.
And there's so few comics have letters pages, you figure if you'd send one, you'd probably get it printed, because there are so few.
Yeah.
But yet, still you don't do it. It's like,
Eh.
Yeah, it used to be a real pain in the ass. Now, super easy.
Gotta draw my letter art. Gotta do some letter art, put some hobgoblin on it or something. Never mind.
I just noticed on the front of this, the top tile where it said celebrating 50 years is shattered. I just noticed that.
Yeah.
Had they been doing that for the rest of the issue?
It was broken in the last one, and then now it's shattered apart.
Oh, okay. I didn't notice that until now. I'm like, oh, cool.
All right. Moving on then. Thank you, sir. Nicole?
All right. Well, you can't see my video, but if you see my avatar, one of the characters I have is who I'm going to be talking about. So I'm going to be talking about the newest Deadpool because we've talked about it every issue since the reboot.
Because it's awesome!
It continues to be.
Wait, Deadpool is awesome? What? Huh?
Yeah,
Stop
I know.
that.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's amazing. Cause ever since I started the show with you guys, I don't remember talking about Deadpool until the reboot. So,
Fact.
is it a fact?
Oh, yeah, I don't think we talked about a single issue of Deadpool.
Mm-mm.
But this reboot is doing an amazing job. Of course, he's still fighting off dead presidents. He has Ben Franklin on his side, but since he's Canadian, he doesn't understand that Ben Franklin was never a president.
I don't think that being Canadian really like.
I'm Canadian. I don't know your history.
Yeah, I think that's Deadpool's excuse. But even if Deadpool was American, I don't think he would still know that. I think there's a lot of Americans that don't realize that Benjamin Franklin wasn't a president.
Because he's on the $100 bill. That everyone says it's dead presidents, but he's never dead president.
Exactly.
But but in this issue, you realize he's the only one that can see Ben Franklin. So
well, I think Doctor Strange can too, but he's really hard ignoring him. Yeah, which we find out why.
Doctor Strange is awesome in this.
God, he is.
I'm really liking him. The thing is, they're trying to get Doctor Strange to help him, see what's going on with Madman, and that's the purpose. I think that's the best part of the comic book is Madman's story. It's only a couple pages where they talk about his past. When he was little, he had a hamster that passed away, and his mother gave it to him, who recently passed away before. And he was so upset that this hamster died. He just wanted to love it, and he pretty much loved it so much that he came back to life. And so Shield hired him to.
Right, this is the necromancer.
Hey, he is not crazy. His name is
his
Michael.
Powers going. Powers.
He has a name. His name is Michael.
Yes. Yeah, Madman.
Michael.
Yes.
Michael.
Michael Madman.
Yes.
Madman is just something somebody called him. This is like the dark side debate from Beast Wars.
Yeah.
God.
But I thought that was a good story. You know, you hear about his past and what's going on with him and why he's with Shield, and so because they were thinking that his Shield jacket was just something.
Well, like all of us did. I mean, that was like all of us thought that he was just.
On there.
We thought he was just some nut that got a Shield jacket. But when he says that, you can see that there's clearly like an all-seeing eye over the Shield logo on his Shield jacket. So it's got to be some sort
I
of
didn't notice that until now. I'm like, oh,
occult
that's cool.
version of a cult subgroup of Shield. Yeah.
I'm sure Shield has a division for that.
Hell yeah, it does.
Oh, aren't there like an occult group, like armor or something? Is that what it's called?
Hey, that's their alternate reality more. That's what the AR stands for. Is alternate reality.
Well, they were fighting zombies in Marvel Zombies, so that's all I can tell you.
Yeah, Marvel, they were armor. So.
Shield's for dealing with alternate realities rather than magic.
Mm.
I can't wait until they make one where the group is just called Gun. I want to know what Gun is.
Probably the magic division of Shield is just called Wand or something. Because we've got Shield, we've got Sword for aliens, we've got armor for alternate realities.
God.
So we're gonna just have Wand or Cod Piece or something.
God. Oh no. There's some good lines in this too, though, where it's like, "Hey George, guess what time it is? 2:30."
Because George Washington in the last episode had his wooden teeth knocked out, so he's going to a dentist to get his teeth redone.
Oh my God!
George Washington's going to get his teeth redone. So that's where that joke comes from.
Brilliant.
That poor dentist.
Well, and there was, for the first time, there was a fourth wall breaking in this issue, but it was 3 panels and then never really gone back to. So
yeah, they're like, "Who are you talking to?" I'm talking to them. Who's them? It's too much to explain in one panel.
God.
Yeah, that's all I need from
Yeah. Although I think my favorite historical part, the semi-historical part of this was the Gerald Ford moment at the end.
Oh yes.
Because it's like, if you don't know a lot about American presidents,
are you talking about the UFO thing?
No, the end where after they've got Marine One, and they're going to leave, and Nixon doesn't want to leave because they're right in front of Watergate. Something to know about Gerald Ford is that he was known as being a very clumsy person, and it's just because there were 2 different instances where he was caught on camera tripping. So, there became all of these jokes. In particular, Chevy Chase did a lot of them. Yeah, where it was Ford falling. And so there's this bit where they're at the back of Marine One, and he's going to go to get into it and trips. So he's like, "Whoopsie! Oh, fiddlesticks!"
Fiddlesticks.
And
he gets chopped up by the rotary blade.
Yeah, from the torso up, gets chopped up.
I can actually get a look at this issue.
Oh my God, it's hilarious.
It's fun. So he's taking out Gerald Ford in this one. He also takes on Richard Nixon at the Watergate Hotel.
God.
I mean, it's a fun series that they're going through. I think is there 2 more issues in this storyline?
Possibly, but there are a couple of things like when Doctor Strange looks at Deadpool with the Eye of Agamotto, he says he notices something and then says it to Deadpool at the end, but we don't hear what it is. So,
I would like to believe that, as much as I'm enjoying these first couple of issues, I would like to believe that, I know they are like comedians as well, but the best Deadpool is Deadpool that manages to balance the comedy with the darkness. And I would like to believe that these writers do have the capability to write some comparatively straight, dark Deadpool stories as well. I just want Joe Kelly back, really, is what I want.
Yeah.
These guys are doing a damn good impression of funny Joe Kelly right now. But if I want to
What is Joe Kelly even doing now? I don't even know what his last book was.
I don't know what he's doing these days. I think he's working in television.
But, now you
I
mentioned...
think they might do something with Preston.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see where... You never know with a Deadpool story what characters are going to stick and what's not. But the one moment I want to talk about on this, which there's two where it's like one of the other presidents says something out and the editor's note is, "Oh, just Google it." And but in this,
a couple of those moments.
There's a scene where Doctor Strange is trying to lock on to this necromancer, to Michael. Michael is his name. And he's saying, be ready, because as soon as I find it, we'll have to go. And so the guy starts to cast a spell, and he's like, "I've got it. All right, here we go. And Mr. Franklin, I've not forgotten or forgiven you for sleeping with my girlfriend. You can walk." And the editor's note says, "Ben slept with Clea back in the 70s. Look it up." So what is going on here, Chris McFeely?
That's about it. Doctor Strange went traveling through time, and Ben Franklin was known for the ladies.
He mentioned that in the comic book, how because he's also apparently a chubby chaser because he's after Agent French.
God. I think it's just women in general, but
in general, I think.
But I think I went back and saw some of those panels.
Yeah.
I think didn't he get her drunk? Yeah.
That's a nice guy. I think actually, immediately thereafter, some of that might have been retconned away through cosmic hoodoo. I'm not sure.
Wow. Well, it wouldn't surprise me. But although Ben Franklin's like, "Oh, come on!"
Yeah.
So it does give that impression that Doctor Strange, of course, could see Ben Franklin the whole time. He was just sort of ignoring him. But yeah.
And actually, Deadpool names his sword as well in this issue. And
he gets a sword that Doctor Strange magically imbues with the ability to kill these presidents.
Yep, and its name is Nancy.
Yeah. Well, first he names it Vito, the magic sword, and then they tell him that swords should traditionally be named after women. So he's like, "Well, how does Nancy sound?"
So grab your Nancy and let's get fighting.
And he fought Reagan with it.
What?
Did he in the last issue?
Did he proceed to then fight Reagan with it?
Oh, no.
Reagan hasn't shown up yet.
Yeah.
Oh, Reagan has not shown up yet.
Not since that big scene with all the presidents hanging out.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
let's see how that one goes.
Yeah. This is Nixon, Ford, who else is
Yeah, Nixon and Ford, I think, are the only two that get killed off.
Yeah,
but
issue. they have Abraham Lincoln and George Washington. They're the ones that are at the dentist's office.
Yeah. So you got killed by an actor. He got the drop on me.
Yeah, because the thing is, Washington and Lincoln are planning something, but you don't know what they're planning.
But apparently it involves a space station.
Yeah.
Oh, presidents in space.
Yeah.
So those two are the reason why this is happening. So on the lookout for Lincoln and Washington.
God.
So, and of course, he also mentioned that he still has 35 dead presidents to kill.
Well, at first, I don't know that he knew how many there were, but
there's Barack Obama's our 44th. There is 4 still alive, so that would be 40 dead presidents.
Of course, if they kill one of them off in the book, then
Yeah.
They might
So they have he's killed 5, so he has 35 to go.
bolster
How's
your
their
number.
math at Fanboy Versus, people?
Nice.
Maths in my comics.
Man. I don't know if we can handle that. So. All right, cool.
You guys should be reading it. It's actually
It is
really
really good. It is refreshing to actually.
Sounds awesome.
It is refreshing to actually read. I laughed so many times reading the book, and there's just so many. There's a lot of just little gags in the book that are just really nice, but they're not the same kind of just messed up Deadpool talking to himself kind of jokes. I mean, they're really just funny bits and stuff.
Ben Franklin has a personality, which I never thought I'd see. You know,
he's
like a whole different image of presidents.
No, I mean the funny thing is like I've read a lot and known a lot about Ben Franklin, especially if you've seen like the play 1776, the musical.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty much spot on from that. So,
So does he want to make the turkey the bird or something in it? Because I remember that from 1776.
that was in 1776. He's also a bit of a womanizer in that as well. So, yeah, there is a whole sequence in 1776 where Adams and Franklin sing a song about having sex, but it's under the guise of playing a violin. So,
That's a strange thing.
God,
Stop trying to educate me.
yeah.
So I'm
Talking about theater.
I'm just excited to see what other presidents show up.
I'm just excited to see where this whole book goes. I mean, just by the fact that there's something that Doctor Strange told him gives me the idea that there's going to be some larger story and some more things going on. So.
Doctor Strange told him something. He's like, and what did he say? Oh, that's not good, or so. Oh, where's that?
Something like that.
Oh,
and in
he's
fact,
like, that's not good.
the other agent was like, what? He's like, oh, nothing. It's time for my annual mammogram.
He says right here, Agent Preston's like, is everything all right? He's like, oh, it's personal. It's just almost time for my yearly mammogram.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome.
You guys need to read this.
It's really good.
It's
Okay.
one of those ones that I'm looking forward to picking up every other week. So.
As soon as I stop my no Deadpools policy, I might read that book. But right now, I don't know.
See,
check it out.
that's the thing. I told myself I'd never read Deadpool because it got out of hand. It just would. I mean, every single little spin-off, every little other series and stuff. And I'm just like, I can't do it. But this reboot, it's
One book.
Reboot.
He's a character that I could never see supporting his own book, but it's like I was fine if he showed up every once in a while in a comic. So it's great that you guys like it so much. It sounds cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
fun.
It's fun.
Get back to Deadpool triplet.
Okay, I am going to try to rush through a few books here real quick so that we can get to Avengers and not take up too much of everybody's time. First one, surprising thing. I just have to give it a little bit of credit just because we've been talking about how awful it is. Moloch was not awful.
Moloch number 1.
Moloch number 1 was not awful.
I was telling you, dude, Moloch's going to be my miniseries of the year. I keep telling you that.
Well, I wouldn't say it was great, but I thought it did at least a good job of keeping itself in the world, telling stories that weren't told in the book, and yet mentioning some things that were. You know, where you talked about, hey, where's that laser light mirror or anything?
The solar mirror was there, and
it was in this.
I smiled at that, but I was like, what is the point?
I like how he was a magician when he was a boy, and then he just would kill people.
Yeah,
put them in boxes.
But I mean,
I like that.
Yeah. So I mean, it's like, did this deserve a book? No. But was it awful? No. So
No, it wasn't awful. It was just,
sometimes I like to give credit where it's due. I don't want to go into more detail than that, but I'll just say it wasn't awful.
You're just saying that it was the best miniseries of the year, is what you're saying.
Not that, no.
It certainly was the best comic starring Moloch. There have been surprisingly quite a few.
Yeah, right. Another thing I want to mention is something that's gone by wayside, probably for a lot of people, but that is Earth 2, DC. They finally got past this Grundy story with the issue 6, and issue 7 has really picked up. With this issue, things have have really started to take off, where we're getting a little bit more character backstory. The interaction between this Sloane and God, I can never remember this guy's name. Crap.
I read the book, but I haven't read the new issue, so I can't. Anyway. But I know what you're talking about.
But it's sort of like what seems to be like the beginning of a checkmate organization on Earth 2. This group of Sandmen, as infiltrators. We finally have Michael Holt showing back up after he got ported to Earth 2.
After DC decided that he came from Earth 2.
After his book got canceled, right? Didn't
yeah.
he have a book?
Yeah. Funny that.
I keep forgetting that he had a book. That's pretty sad.
One of the single most forgettable books of the New 52, next to Black Hawks, probably.
But he got basically picked up by this guy that looks like he may be starting sort of like a checkmate organization. But we found out that there's a Red Tornado that's here as well, a female Red Tornado that's being rebuilt.
A female Red Tornado?
Yeah, female Red Tornado.
Because we need more Red Tornadoes in our lives.
Well, there isn't one right now, so yeah, you do. Let's see, and also, there's just like a ton of teases for like other characters that may be showing up, other wonders as they call it, on this world.
Are you still liking the book? I'm kind of surprised that's a book you still get.
I
kind of figured.
Like I said, I was waiting for this Grundy story to get over with. And now that it has, and it's become a lot more about espionage and shadow play and that kind of thing, so I'm liking it. Khan is this other character's name.
I'm kind of teetering on if I want to keep it or not. Like I want to keep getting it because I want something with Justice Society characters in it. It's just it's not my Justice Society.
Well, I'd say if you haven't read issue 6, read issue 6. And
I haven't read the newest one. I read the end of the Grundy thing. That was the last issue I read.
And that's why I say issue 6 is where it kind of starts to pick up. It seems like we're really kind of getting a better idea of these characters, a better interplay of what the world is going to be structured like. So if you like I said, if you like the sort of checkmate, and if you like a little bit more political interplay with your hero play, I think this may be it. And also, like I said, we're going to probably see some cross-world stuff starting to happen now that Michael Holt is out of the control of Terry Sloane and is going to be with this other sort of sub-organization.
Terry Sloane is a dick in that comic.
He is. He's a total bastard.
He's such a dick. Yeah.
It's so great. He's just a complete dick, and I absolutely love it. Let's try to stall for a second for Chris McFeely to come back, because I figured he'd want to chime in on this before Watchmen story, but I guess I'll go ahead and start talking about it, and if he wants to cut back. Damn, this issue is good.
Minutemen?
Minutemen. If you've not been reading Minutemen, you're doing yourself a disservice. It's probably the top book that's worth it out of before Watchmen.
Oh, there's no probably it is. There's no probably it
is. Probably. Yeah, it is. Okay, yeah.
Because like for story and for art is Minutemen, I thought like for Silk Spectre the story is fine, but dude, the art is what shined in Silk Spectre.
Yeah.
And O'Connor's art great.
Yeah. And but this, like, not only is the art great, but so is the story. Little things like, Silk Spectre sleeping with Eddie on her wedding day.
She's probably just powdering her nose.
Yeah,
that's classy right there.
She might be doing that while Ed's got his dick all the way in her. But
oh god!
Oh my gosh!
You can't really see her nose in that shot, I guess. But yeah.
You get the stuff with Dollar Bill, you get that page with Dollar Bill.
This is the one little thing about Dollar Bill.
$4 bill. Yeah.
But the main thrust of this story is a story that revolves around two people who dress up as actual comic book characters and come to the Minutemen for help with this story, with what seems to be some plutonium or uranium that had been stolen, and they're basically making what we would refer to as like a dirty bomb. And
the comic characters, Blue Coat and Scout, by the way.
Yeah.
I think we should mention their names because those are great.
Yeah, it seems to be sort of like a Captain America, Bucky sort of knockoff almost. But I mean, I don't want to go into too much detail on this story because the story itself is really good. But I think the interesting thing about it more so is that, I think it was the second issue of Minutemen that had the great story where they thought there were munitions in this warehouse and they broke in and it turned out it was like fireworks and it made this big brouhaha. And then, so the government decided that they were going to, fudge the story a little bit, and they made it, this big event for the Minutemen where they really gave them credit for doing something that they didn't do. In this, almost the exact opposite happens. The Minutemen charge in to, this situation and, really sort of end up saving the day. I mean, saving New York, saving the city, saving countless lives, and the government covers it up. And it ends up, whereas the start of the team's notoriety was a lie, the end of the team was a lie as well, where it started with a lie about them doing something amazing that they didn't really do. It ends with them doing something actually amazing and then not getting to, get the renown for it.
The credit.
The credit, yeah. I mean, it was like it didn't even happen at all. It's
I love I love one of these lines at the end of the issue, and I kind of don't want to read it because I don't want to spoil for somebody, but it's the line about he says some dope forgets his watch and becomes a god on earth.
Yes,
and I won't
yeah.
say the rest of it, but the rest of it, it's just great.
Well, I mean, I think you can say, there's a kid that we can spoil this. This is not horrible. I think I've spoiled it enough as it is.
Spoiler alert! We need to get like a little.
This kid ends up basically stopping. He takes the lid off of what would be this dirty bomb and saves the city, but himself gets completely irradiated. And Hollis is thinking about it, and the kid's like in the hospital. I mean, the end line before is that, it took the kid less than 6 seconds to take the lid off of the bomb, and he would be dead in as many days. And, as the kid is in the hospital, he said, I stayed with him those days when I wasn't on duty. I lied to him. I told him the whole world knew what heroes he and his father had been. His suffering was unbearable. The radiation did horrible things to his body. Looking back, I've realized this is why I have some kind of vague disdain for Dr. Manhattan. Some dope forgets his watch and becomes a god on Earth. Some poor kid saves New York City, and he gets to suffer and die alone and forgotten. What kind of sick world is this? And it's just,
I like that.
Perfect. It is absolutely perfect. And even in that third panel, if the kid looks normal, and then in the third panel, you see Hollis kind of in a different shirt, but the kid's hand is obviously red and swollen from the radiation sickness, and his face, is just covered with marks.
Awful.
And
yeah.
Radiation sickness, if you didn't know this, is awful to die from. It's just horrible.
It doesn't sound like any fun, that's for sure.
No.
Oh.
But if you thought that wasn't enough, then the end of this gets really twisted, and I don't even know if I understand the full implication.
No, I can't believe that what the immediate assumption you would make on this can possibly be the correct one.
Yeah.
I totally wanted to hear what you guys. I wanted to hear what you said about this.
I don't
I'm
even.
thinking back to something you guys was saying back in issue 2?
Yeah, that was definitely prominent in my mind then when I was reading this. It was like, I have to assume he's deliberately trying to evoke that unpleasant connection. I don't know why he would want to do that deliberately, because I can't believe a writer would go there in this day and age.
Yeah.
I have to believe this is deliberately misleading, but the fact that you would want to even deliberately mislead anybody to that conclusion is so horrible. It's one of those things that's just so horrible that it's one of those unpleasant situations where you are left wondering, is it the comic or is it the writer? And I have to say, issue 6 is going to be honest, it could make or break this miniseries depending on how this turns out.
Yeah.
It really could.
Yeah. I mean, for all of the great things that it's done, if what is being implied is the case, I think it would just kill it for me.
I think I would agree with you. I think it would leave a terrible taste in my mouth.
Is this something that you don't want to spoil? You guys don't even want to mention?
I think we should maybe just leave that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something that other people should read. I mean, it's really hard it would take a long time, one, to describe, and two, it just...
if you've read issue 2 and you heard us talking about it, then you probably know what we're talking about, even if you haven't read this.
Yeah, but it's definitely... I mean, either way, it's screwed up. And it's either going to be screwed up in a way that is okay as far as the story goes, or it's going to be screwed up in a way that, as Chris said, that it's just going to ruin.
It's probably whatever you think it is the worst thing you can think of, because it is a story about screwed up superheroes.
But this is too far. I mean, this is way farther than even Alan Moore, I think, was.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Alan Moore made some pretty twisted implications, but this is far beyond even that. So I don't know. We'll see.
It'll be interesting to see the next issue.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to be waiting for that. I do have to say, like, I didn't mention it before because Chris McFeely wasn't here, but this first 4 panel is so brilliant to me. I can't stop looking at it.
Oh, the circles.
The circles, the spiral, and especially because they talk about the tickling of the dragon's tail, and that last frame is like, I can see it as a clock, as the as the countdown to extinction clock, or I can see it as a dragon's eye, and like at the same time, and it's just, damn you.
Even like the panels of the basically them going their 4 separate ways, and it looks like a clock. I mean that's cool looking too. I like that.
That's a great set of panels. That one.
Yeah. So. Awesome. Okay, well, anyway, Minutemen, if you haven't checked it out, you should. And like I said, we'll be back to talk about this
Or, depending on next issue, maybe you shouldn't have.
Maybe you shouldn't have. Or maybe
it may be there right now.
So it turns out that Minutemen isn't the best when it actually is Moloch.
It may have. No, if anything, we'll just hand it over to Silk Spectre and move on. So, all right, I'm done. Chris McFeely, take us then to your recommendation so we can get to Avengers.
I'm going to recommend Action Comics for this week. Haven't mentioned Action Comics in a couple of weeks, but this is Morrison's penultimate issue, so it really does have to be the one that gets recommended, because this is that one issue that always happens eventually in every Grant Morrison run, where things stop and come together, and explanations are given, and things finally start to make sense.
Good.
It's like, while, the last couple of issues of Action Comics have maybe not been supremely worth talking about, they've still been fine reads, but like, this is an excellent issue of Action Comics. This is Morrison at his tripped out best once again. Last issue we saw Superman fight the Multitude on Mars. And then in this issue we found out that wasn't even happening. That was a look into the future that Superman was remembering.
He was remembering from the future!
He is a Superman. Think of it. He is a Superman.
But that happens, as Mrs. Nixley explains in this one, because Vindictivix is closing in on the Little Man, as we now know, is closing in on Superman, and I quote, Vindictivix disturbs time when he closes in for the kill. And I read another review that summed that up very nicely, where as you're reading it, you nod your head and go, "Ah, yes, I see," when it actually makes no sense whatsoever. But you're led along by the story into accepting that that's how it goes. So what we have going on here is actually three separate, what's kind of like four separate things that are happening. We have Nixley explaining to Superman in the present day about Vindictivix. We have the anti-Superman army hunting Superman at some point in the future, which is why the story is called Superman at the End of Days. And we have only briefly looked upon is Clark and Lana at their prom when Clark was young, when Clark got the news on the day that both his parents had died. And
I saw his parents alive in that sequence, because I was like, how long, because like in this version, he grew up in an orphanage at some point. He went to live in an orphanage. Am I remembering that correctly?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay, I was thinking his parents died a lot earlier in his life. Like maybe he spent a lot of time in an orphanage or something.
We've seen his dad be with him when he was learning his powers and things in earlier issues. So I don't think anything like that ever happened. It's implied here anyway. Well, it's not implied. It's shown they died in a car accident, and we find out that this is all cases of Vindictivix attacking Superman at different times in his life simultaneously. He's attacking Superman all through his life at once. He killed his parents. He's having the anti-Superman army hunt him down at the end of time, and he is he's doing something in the present which we don't see because it is primarily Nixley telling him the story of Vindictivix and Mr. Mxyzptlk in the fifth dimension. We know she was a princess of the fifth dimension and that Mr. Mxyzptlk was her lover, and it turns out here, we find out in the course of this issue that Mxyzptlk bested, shall we say, Vindictivix like as the favorite jester, performer, entertainer of the king, and so seeking revenge, Vindictivix tried to kill Mxyzptlk but accidentally killed the king instead, and he went insane.
Mm-hmm.
The reason he's hunting Superman is because he used the million-pointed multi-spear.
Oh,
oh yes,
with fractals. It's pointed with fractals.
Just this sentence here. Driven by jealous rage, he stole 3 sublime weapons left over from Chroma Conflict 2. The Nothing Coat, the Imaginator, the million-pointed multi-spear. Like...
The Nothing Coat.
Yes, we want Grant Morrison to continue to write Action Comics. Yes, to all of that.
When he attempted to kill the king, or when he accidentally killed the king, he killed him accidentally because the king was trying on Mixie's derby hat, and we'd seen earlier in the story that it was from Mixie's derby hat that he pulled all of his magic, like magicians do. And the thing that Mixie did to entertain the king was that he did what Mixie does. He visited worlds all through the multiverse and annoyed their champions. What is it? What was the Super Turtle of Jazur, Randazulian's Electo, Cosmicus, Professor Power, Vartox, the Word of Word, and it's all the name-saying backwards challenge. So whenever he stabs the king, the hat goes on fire as well, and all of these worlds across the universe, and I guess it's more the universe than the multiverse, they are all struck simultaneously by the fractal points of the multi-spear, and they manifest as the multitude. And it's on 2 worlds, which is Krypton and Mars in last issue, that Superman and his father turn back the multi-spear, and Vindictivix seeks revenge now upon Superman for that thwarting.
Because it burned his hand, it burned his arm.
It's ruined his arm and shattered the spear and broken the Nothing Coat, and he's just... it's funny that the art, because we've not seen any implication that there's anything wrong with the little man's arm. The ruined arm, I'm going to assume that's going somewhere, because it's never been like a signposted idea before now.
It was in the last issue.
Was it?
I believe it was. I thought there was, unless it was in this, because I read these back to back. And there was a sequence, I thought, where in the end of the last issue, when they find the little man under the rubble, his arm is destroyed. His arm is, and he tells him that he did it. You know that.
Yeah, I would have to go back and look at it again.
Yeah, it is in the last issue.
And there's a backup strip in here by Sholey Fish just fleshing out the relationship between Mrs. Pitlick and Nixie Gispintlazes and Mrs. Nixley, or whatever you want to call it. And that's quite sweet as well. But, you know, this is real penultimate stuff, and it truly is the issue that's gonna tie all of Morrison's Action Comics together. Would mean absolutely nothing if you hadn't read anything up until now. You know, I saw some people talking about how they found this was confusing and they hated it and they didn't understand it.
What?
And I had this revelation and I was like, oh my god, that's me when I got to the end of Final Crisis.
Yes!
You know, I was like, because I was like, if you have paid even the slightest fraction of attention while reading Action Comics over the last 14 months, this is not confusing.
Yeah, this actually makes everything make sense.
This is like, with an understanding. I know I've said it before, I'm late to the party in that I get how Grant Morrison works now, and I picked up Action Comics because I figured if he was going to do something like he did with his Batman again, I wanted to be in on the ground floor for it, and I really have been because he really was.
Yeah.
This is shall we say, very rewarding. I totally love the fact that everything we saw set up, first of all, we had the flash forward issues, which introduced the anti-Superman army. Then everything from then until now has been about the individual members of the army being recruited by Vindictivix. And I love the fact that that's not, that it is, but it isn't the payoff that they actually all get together and attack him, because they don't get together and actually attack him until the future sometime.
Yeah,
it's not even happening to him in the now of the comic. We're seeing it, and it is serving as the big explosive end of Morrison's story because it's been leading towards that, and you would assume it has been. But it's not even happening in the now. I love that. It's so mental.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's not even part of the present story. It's.
It's like he's not going to beat them in the now. You know, when the present, the now of the comic reaches its conclusion, that's all still going to have to come for Superman yet. And I mean, I'm really looking forward with some degree of sadness actually to next issue, because I mean there have been some issues of Action Comics certainly that weren't as thrilling as others. But when it all comes together like this, you really do see how it is very rewarding, and it is going to form a solid, just like 16-issue body of work where Grant Morrison, literally in this case, got to do Superman from beginning to absolute end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I mean, we figured back at the outset when we got to the end of the first story with the Collector of Worlds and everything, we were seeing like that little pocketed 6-issue conversion of Golden Age socialist Superman to Silver Age icon, and we never really moved beyond that. Sort of like it's kind of become a little grayer. I really still feel that that's what the first story arc was about, and this one has then been about the anti-Superman army. Unless, of course, I mean, the next issue is called The Second Death of Superman, so maybe we are transitioning from the Silver Age up into the Bronze Age with the death of Superman here in the next one. But through this narrative trickery, we have seen Superman from his literal beginnings as Superman up to the very end to Superman at the end of days.
But not only that, like, here's the really brilliant thing, is we've already established in here that Superman's going to face Mxyzptlk.
Yeah, sooner or later. That's it. It's not even. It's like I was a little worried about that because of the way that Mxyzptlk is like the one missing guy from Superman's Rogues Gallery. He's like sort of like the Toy Man or the Parasite or something. Like Morrison has worked in all of Superman's truly classic enemies from the eras that he has been emulating a journey through the eras of comics, from the Kryptonite Man to the Legion of Superheroes have been involved. We've had Luthor, we've had Brainiac, we've had Captain Comet of all things,
Yeah.
who even gets a little mention in here. We've had the Kryptonians in the Phantom Zone. We've had he's covered all of this stuff, and Mixer Spitlick seemed like he was the odd one out, which is why everyone assumed that the little man was going to be Mixer Spitlick, and the fact that it turned out to not be him felt kind of weird, because then it meant Mixer Spitlick was just sort of left out. And now we know from the fun time bendingness and the nature of 5-dimensional life that he is going to mess with him, and he has messed with him already. It just hasn't happened yet for Superman.
Yeah, and that was the mind-blowing part. I'm like, holy crap! That means we still get that.
Yeah, any writer can do that whenever they feel like it.
Yeah, it's like that can still be there, and it won't matter because Fifth Dimension. I knew that I had gone into mind-blowing territory when I just tried to describe the spear to my wife last night.
There is something about that makes you want to try and tell somebody about it, isn't there?
Yeah, it is, because it's like, if you get it, it's awesome. Like, the whole fork thing. And again, it doesn't pay off until this issue, but in the previous issue, you kind of get the part where it's like, why Superman looks at a fork and goes, oh, because of this, it's like this, now, but you can't, if you don't, one, if you don't understand Crazy Grant Morrison, and two, if you don't understand multi-dimensional existence, then,
if you don't read comics.
Right. You're kind of screwed. So, is this good? I am going to miss this so much.
Seriously, it's still my favorite thing from the New 52, and issues like this just reaffirm that. Whenever I'm left going, I'm not so sure. I feel, it's like when I felt like last issue, The Multitude was a bit of it didn't feel like it lived up to the build-up, and now it's like, you're like, oh wait, no, it was actually all this shit, and I'm like, oh wait a second.
Not only did it live up, but it surpassed the build-up. It was even more amazing and crazy than you could have ever imagined it was. So good. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's that previous issue.
I love the language of the issue as well. Just Nick Lee's description of the. I mean, she says, "What is it? How should she describe it?" She says, "What did she say? 5-die? Where is it? I'm trying to find it. Crap, can't find it. Hang on. She describes
about
5
issues or something.
She's telling the story, and she just says 5D words sometimes come out like thunder.
Pierces his eardrums so much that his ears are bleeding.
Is that what that was?
Yes.
I wasn't sure if that was what that was, or if it was supposed to be him suffering the injuries that were being inflicted upon him in the future across time.
I took it more of that, but yeah.
I think I was getting a little too tripped out.
Yeah, you may have been a little too. Yeah.
Yeah. How does she? It's like she begins the story. This is a story of the fifth dimension. Once upon a time, further than forever and closer than the back of your head, lived the sad King Thing Bripzix of Zrif, the five-fold country. And I'm like, I love it already.
I know, it was brilliant. Yeah, God, jeez. I mean, even the image of the place with a water mill on the side of a building that goes into grass, and
yeah. It's like, what is that? It doesn't matter. Because this is carrying on stuff with the fifth dimension that Morrison did back in his Batman as well, where he took the idea that the fifth dimension is actually the land of imagination, where our imagination just is. Human imagination is this realm. And the idea was
never-ending story.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, they used to say that, you had Batmite back in the day, and then later on they said Batmite was from the fifth dimension, the same as Mix's Pitlick. So when Batmite appeared in Morrison's Batman, Batman asked him, well, he was crazy at the time, are you really an imp from the fifth dimension, or are you just a figment of my imagination? And Batmite told him that the imagination is the fifth dimension, Batman. It was like,
So good. This is good stuff. I mean, I am so glad that I picked this up, beginning to end. And for hating Superman, this has just been awesome. And I am both looking forward to and not looking forward to the next issue.
Yeah, really.
Because it's going to be good, and yet it's going to be the end of this, and it's just like...
There's something really twisted and annoying about the fact that he's getting to finish his Superman run before he finishes his Batman run.
There isn't, yeah.
We still haven't actually, as much as I say, like, oh, I want it on the ground floor if he's starting something like this, we still haven't even got to the actual end of what he's been doing with Batman.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the themes wrap up with the end of Batman and Robin and the return of Bruce Wayne, but it's not all tied off yet. It's not a bow yet. We have to get to the end. We have to get the Batman Inc. number 12 before that actually happens.
Yeah. And that's taking
so
forever.
We'll see how that's going to go.
God.
Have
All
you
right.
read any of the Batman Inc., by the way, McFeely?
I haven't
you
read the
waiting
new
for trade?
Batman Inc. I'm waiting on a trade for that one to go with all my
Okay.
other books.
Yeah. It's been good. I haven't been
I
talking
don't-
about it, but it's good.
Well, Action Comics is also good, and I tell you to get it, but there's little point now, so get the trade.
Yeah,
Get
really.
the trade.
8 issues are out, and it's obviously going to be 2 8-issue books because the first hardcover, beg your pardon, the first hardcover is 8 issues, and it's out now.
Oh, okay.
So get that.
All right. Very good. Then, let it be that we shall move
Hey, that's
on.
a Beatles song.
Let it be.
Let it be. As we move on to Avengers issue 1. Now, I have to say, I've been excited about this. You know, we've all really, I think most of us have enjoyed Hickman's work on Fantastic Four. So, the fact that he's going to be writing Avengers sounds just totally awesome. And
We're
I
hoping
get
for it.
and I think I'll let Chris take us through this. Chris McFeely take us through this because he kind of gets Hickman and likes Hickman. So, but I do have to say, I put the book, I set it down, cover up, and I'm like, interesting cover. Okay, open the first page, and I'm like, fuck, really? It's like it's like the start of like this epic adventure. You know, it's like unmistakable
You were
beginning.
not ready.
Unmistakable beginning to Hickman's story here. So, all right, Chris.
Previously in Avengers is how it begins. There was nothing. Followed by everything. Swirling, burning flecks of creation that circled life-giving suns. And then we raced to the light. Well, I guess this is going to be about people sitting around a table eating breakfast.
Well played, sir.
Oh man. I mean, and like even what they've done to the Avengers logo on the second page.
I love this thing. This is Hickman graphics. You get this. This wasn't really in his Fantastic Four, but it's in everything else he does. It was all over Secret Warriors, his own Manhattan projects. It was in his Ultimates as well. This graphic design that he does for his books, where we start out with a team of Avengers who are, not coincidentally, the movie team. Not that actually matters or anything, because it's not like they are the Avengers or anything. He's just used that as a jumping on point for movie readers who have come in, you know. And we get this spiraling diagram with emblems representing each of the 6 movie Avengers. And then there are these little arms growing out from their logos, and lots of blank circles. And it's like,
For some reason,
Really
they
good.
exclude Black Widow and Hawkeye. Why is that?
No, they don't.
Well, they're not authorized to do that.
What? What do you mean they exclude them?
Well, because they don't have like the little pinpoints that are coming out from it. They're just
They don't have other people there. Yeah. Okay.
But
I
yeah.
see what you're saying.
is that Black Widow and Hawkeye, or is that Black Widow and Hulk? Because we don't.
Maybe that is Hulk.
Yeah, I think
they
it's
never
Hulk.
do actually tell us what the emblems are. And we'll get to this at the end of the issue again. But obviously we can tell Captain America from the star, Thor from the hammer, Black Widow from the spider, Iron Man from the arc reactor. But there's an H, and there's 2 guys that could be for. And then there's what it seems to be like an archery target. So presumably that's.
Okay.
You think they could have used
Good,
a molecule or something for the Hulk, you know? Rather than an H. I mean, it's direct and to the point. So anyway,
They could have used a big old fist.
that would work too.
Yeah, because that wouldn't look like other things. Anyway.
Figure that. But you want to talk now about long-term planning? Well, holy crap!
Yeah.
We start with a legend that grew in the telling, and the narration just says, some believe it began when the moment Hyperion was rescued from a dying universe. Others said it was when the Guard were broken on the dead moon. Many more think it was when Ex Nihilo terraformed Mars, turning the red planet green. They were wrong. It happened before the light, the war, the fall. And you're like, none of this stuff has even happened yet.
Yep, none of it.
Racing towards. This is the light. Well, it's like it seems like it happened before the light. They make it sound like maybe that is the latest point. So we are literally racing toward the light for Hickman's Avengers. Like, it's right there in the first 3 pages. We're already mired in metaphor.
Yeah, and yeah. God, you're like, ah! Oh man.
No, it's going to happen. And then I love the way it just suddenly sucks itself right back down to 2 guys. It's Iron Man, it's Captain America. Tony goes and wakes Steve up in the middle of the night and says, yeah, it's time for the Avengers to change. And the funny thing here is, though, Tony recalls what they were saying at the party that they had in the last issue of Bendis' Avengers. That's where this happened. I don't know if you guys read that or not, but this did happen. They did have this party, and Steve and Tony were talking, but it was Tony who said that we have to get bigger, not Steve.
Oops.
So I don't know if that's like a miscommunication between writers there, or if that's just Tony trying to
This is
pass
another
off.
world. It's a whole new world.
Yeah.
This is the second Earth. This.
I like the idea, though, that it's, you know how, like, Tony would be the sort of guy who would convince you it was a good idea by pretending you said it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel it. I choose to believe, like, for my no prize, that that's what's going on there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's believable.
And so we get the Avengers World is the title of our first story arc. And the bloody doors are off after we have the title. 1 month later, villains we've never heard of before are terraforming Mars, as mentioned in the first couple of panels.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, what?
Keep up, bitches!
God. This is like amazing. I mean, this dude's just terraforming Mars, making Homo sapiens. There's a robot thing that wants to kill everything. Some woman-looking thing that probably isn't, but has this wisp. You're just like, mind exploded!
To sum up, villains known as Ex Nihilo, Abyss, and a robot called Aleph are firing origin bombs at Earth. Which are like they explode and they explode. They're like mini Big Bangs that are just creating life wherever they detonate.
What?
And of course they're hitting Earth, so the Avengers come in for some action. And then the Hulk comes, just like, well, then the action happens. Ass gets cooked. Hulk is tricked by this Abyss character into fighting Thor, so you get a powerful smackdown. Captain America does some awesome shield bouncing stuff. Thor is like almost totally silent, but writ so large, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. You get a real sense of Thor in his silence and power. It's really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And Captain America is the only one who makes it out at the end of it all. So it's left with these villains are still in charge of Mars with all the Avengers captive. And I mean, this is quite a short summary, but it's direct. You know,
I mean, that's it.
America,
I mean,
yeah, big read too. Like I read it and I was like, boom, it's already over. I want it to last longer.
He goes and he triggers this protocol that he and Tony have put into place, Wake the World, which summons all of these characters who are going to be the new Avengers, or not just new Avengers, but who are going to be Avengers. As the Avengers expand to get bigger and become a real, like, worldwide force, this is them expanding, and all of these characters respond to Captain America's call. And on the last page, we get spots on the diagram filled in with the symbols of these characters. So there are quite a few yet to come.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even know who all of these guys are. That's what we're talking about here.
Yeah, I mean, hell, I mean, what? Okay, there's Spider-Man.
There's Spider-Man, Spider-Woman, Captain Marvel, Cannonball, Wolverine, Falcon, Sunspot, Hyperion, Eden Facey from Secret Warriors, and a new female Captain Universe. And then
Yeah,
I
that's what I was
don't
going to say, that Captain Universe.
yeah. And then I don't know who this woman in white and black is, and I don't know who this in the black and red on the right is. I don't know who these are.
Yeah. But man.
It'll be interesting.
I mean, it is just, the doors are off, you know. And you know the thing that struck me after reading the comic, which was like, when Bendis started on the Avengers 8 years ago, he added all of these strange new characters to the team. Well, I say new characters, I mean like people that weren't Avengers, historically were almost complete antithesis to the notion of the Avengers. And the internet was up in uproar. And Hickman is like, I can do that 10 times. And we have nothing but all of these completely baffling characters. I mean, it's about
I love that Cannonball is an Avenger. I don't know why, but what?
It is really it is in many ways like the next most logical step to take with the Avengers, to stop pretending that the Avengers are an isolated team separate from the X-Men or the Fantastic Four or any of the other. The Avengers is practically a fraternity at this stage. It is a huge, encompassing umbrella organization that spans all the superheroes of the Marvel Universe. And that's what Hickman is truly transforming it into. After Bendis took us, towards that direction with his idea of turning it into the heavy hitters group. And really, I mean, it's not like we've never had people on the Avengers before who weren't members of other teams, but, really took it to extremes. Like, Hickman has just made such a transformative step for the team in this one page, which I try as I might, and perhaps it's just because we've gone through this, because Bendis really did wind up redefining what it meant to be an Avenger. It's the way that this final quantum leap for the team can happen in a story that is already doing so much with changing the scope of not changing the scope in the sense that it's altering our understanding of the characters or anything, but the scope is out of control as it is. We know things, we already know from these things that things are going to get huge. And the Avengers have to get huge in response to it.
They're going to need a bigger breakfast table.
Yeah.
They're going to I would have laughed my ass off if that's how the issue ended, with like Cap saying we're going to need a bigger table.
Assemble at dawn for waffles.
Here we come, a waffling along.
I'll tell you what, though, I have to assume it is just complete and total coincidence, but it's really unfortunate that both China Mayville and Jonathan Hickman decided to do comics with teams of villains whose names are Ex Nihilo and Abyss.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was the villain double act of Dial H.
Right.
The story arc of Dial H. The meaning is there's nothing relating to them. Ex Nihilo means from nothingness, and Ex Nihilo in Dial H, her deal was that she actually was a nullomancer. She was actually able to manipulate the stuff of nothing. She used and controlled it. And Ex Nihilo, he's called that because he actually is interested in creating life from nothing. From nothing comes life. And of course, that's the very first panel of the thing. Previously in Avengers, there was nothing. And then from nothing, there was everything. And that's the role Ex Nihilo is playing. I mean, I don't know what scope these villains are going to have, if they are just first arc villains, but I would have to say, I mean, based on what we've opened with, there's probably some deeper significance to these guys. They're pretty cosmic villains. I don't think they are subjects of the week. They might go away. We might not see them for a while, but I'll be surprised if this does not have deep and powerful repercussions. And the art in this is fantastic as well.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, the art's really, really
Oh, yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Just a total success all across the board.
Especially the Mars landing page where, it's like Hulk is taking up most of that panel.
Oh, yeah.
And
That's
they're
real
running in.
classic looking, slightly off-kilter, derp-faced Jack Kirby Hulk.
Yes, but I like it.
Yeah.
You're going to get out of that Hulk's way.
Yeah. Yeah.
My only real knock against the book is the kind of Cap armor suit. I don't care for it like I like my classic Cap.
Yeah. I'm not sure.
But
that I don't.
it's
I
a
don't know if
thing.
it was
it's a thing, you know. I mean, basically that's his suit now. I mean, that's what he's got in Uncanny Avengers, right?
Yeah, it'll only
Same
last a while. I think Opinion might have...
It will last until the next movie that he appears in, when they rechange his costume for the movie.
That's the thing, though. It doesn't even really look like the film. So that's the weird thing.
No.
Is that guy on the left, is that Atomic Codpiece, or what is...
That's Hyperion, but he has always looked like that, and he really could use a belt.
Now he's
Just
he's the Squadron Supreme guy, right?
Yeah,
Like the
yeah.
Superman
I mean,
from Squadron Supreme.
Assuming it is that Hyperion.
Yeah.
I mean, it says here, that's one of the early panels, some believe it began the moment Hyperion was rescued from a dying universe. I guess that would mean this was before that? Before this story? So if it began the moment Hyperion was rescued from a dying universe, and then others said it was when the Guard, that's the Shi'ar Imperial Guard, as you can see in the panel, were broken on the Dead Moon. So are we to assume these things have already happened? Because then Ex Nihilo terraforming Mars happens. That's the issue, and then we jump forward into that's a chronological list of things that have happened from as far back as possible up to now, and then this next page is things that are as far away in the future, the light, and then the war and the fall, moving back towards now. Who knows? But I do get the impression that like racing to the light is not an accidental metaphor. In that whatever the light is, it is where we are headed for the story.
Awesome.
Yeah, and you know what's the best thing all? 2 weeks and we get another.
Oh, yeah.
Because this is bi-weekly, kids.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And it makes sense, because like it ends with, like you said, new Avengers are coming. The next issue is New Avengers.
Yeah. Wow. Don't waste time. And the thing is, I'm really looking forward even to... I mean, my hope was originally that they would reshuffle the Avengers line so you would have just bi-weekly Avengers, and then New Avengers could just go away. But the fact that they've decided to transform New Avengers into an Illuminati book and create like an actual distinction between it and Avengers and give it a real reason to be doing something separate on its own. And they're letting Hickman write that as well! It's good. It's good times. It is good times, and Avengers #1 is again one of the strongest out of Marvel now. I don't think it's quite as good as Thor #1 because you're going to be hard pushed to beat that Thor. But it is
awesome.
It is really up there. Some truly fantastic art, and not a world of stuff actually happening in the first issue. A lot of it is just fight and florid dialogue, but there are enough big story hooks going on there that there is absolutely no question about coming back for the next issue.
Yeah. It's awesome. It's what we thought it could be.
Big shock.
There's like a joke in this issue I just realized. Okay, they go to Mars to fight some villains and they take Black Widow and Hawkeye with them.
Yeah.
There's a joke there somewhere.
I don't know what it is, but it's there. Hey, but Mars has been terraformed now, so they can all breathe. It's fine, no problem.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's not like taking Moon Knight to Mars, like in Secret Avengers.
Oh, God.
It's like, you think he could at least got somebody else? I don't know.
Movie cast, gotta go with it.
Yeah, movie cast.
Yeah.
It's a movie
The
cast.
wonderfully subversive thing about the issue, though, is how... especially after Bendis' really lackluster last year or two on the Avengers books, I think a lot of people, and I'm not going to say I wasn't included in it, no, it was, we're kind of looking at this as a potential return to classic form for the Avengers. And in reality, it's really not. It honestly is the ideas that Bendis had for the team blown up even bigger. And it's kind of like the proverbial dragon eating its own tail, where we have looped back around to something that's so cosmic and so epic that it does feel like a classic Avengers epic, even though it's technically even further away from where we started than when Bendis completely flipped the breakfast table over with his one. It's not classic. It's not your dad's Avengers, and it's not Bendis' Avengers either. It legitimately is something new, and that's really what I think is most exciting here. It's not just going back and trying to be safe and trying to capture something Bendis' run never did. It's not trying to do more of what he did. It is something new. And it's not like the Avengers are in desperate need of something new right now, mega blockbuster film. All you would really have to do is just do things like that and put that in the comic. But no, they got somebody with the imagination and the talent to really take this into some exciting, brave new places. And I'm on board.
Yeah. Yeah, this is good. I mean, like I said, it's just as good as we thought it would be. And it's, home run. Yeah.
But Marvel wanted money pretty bad because I dropped Avengers and they got me back.
Yep.
Yeah,
You know?
They knew it was like, oh my gosh, we've got to get Chris Triplet back on.
Yeah.
What? How can
But
we?
you know what's great is how great, like, all the Avengers is now. Because there's no question New Avengers is going to be great, too. Avengers Assemble is rocking it now with Kelly Sue DeConnick on there. We just have to wait and see what Nick Spencer does with Secret Avengers. And, I mean, this could be a sweep.
It's amazing what happens when you get Bendis out of Avengers.
Isn't it, though? Let's see how the X-Men do.
What would really kill the X-Men franchise?
And I read X-Men this week, and you know what? It's still not there yet. They've just gotten to the point where Cyclops and Cyclops meet, so that's where they're at.
What
now.
would really kill the X-Men franchise? Let's put Bendis on it.
Oh, the sales will be huge, and you know.
Yeah, they probably
But
will.
it really looks like even the Avengers family, like Cap, Iron Man, Thor, these are among the best.
They're good books.
It's a good. I mean, obviously they're. I'm not saying like that they're deliberately, because you can never engineer how successful something is going to be, but I don't think it's been a long time since it's been this good a time to be reading Avengers, and for this to happen off the heels of the movie is good planning, kismet, whatever the hell it is. It's been a good year for the Avengers.
Yep, it's good stuff.
Yep.
So cool. All right, well there you go. There's your books for the weeks. Pick all of those up. For some strange reason, I've read all of the books that we talked about this week, and so I can personally say that they are.
You act like you actually like comics.
I know.
That's
It's odd.
According to JD, pick up Moloch because it's the best miniseries.
I don't know about pick it up. If it somehow falls in your hands, read it. But
read it.
If you come across a burning copy, you don't have to lower your fly.
Right. It is not the atrocious thing I thought it would be, but it's also not like run out and buy it, So, but you should get Earth 2 because that's picking up, and that could be fun. We can have multiverse crossover. I'm excited about this. So, all right.
Comics are good. I'm proud of that.
Yeah. So, all right, very good. Well then, we are marching ever closer to the end of the month, which means we are marching ever closer to the end of the year, which means we are marching ever closer to our best of the year. So please get us your recommendations, tweet them to us, email them to us. If you don't tell us, maybe something that's really good, we'll forget about. So let us know your recommendations for stuff that you think needs to be in our end of the year best of coming up.
And as an added incentive, we haven't finalized any plans now, but you guys remember what we were talking about last week. We don't do the digital thing much. We, the four of us. So we have a lot of spare digital codes floating around, stuck in the back of our Marvel comics. So we're not saying there's definitely going to be prizes or raffles or anything for people who might send in their suggestions for end of the year, but we're not saying there aren't going to be.
We're not saying there won't be. You might. It's possible you can get some digital issues and some stuff. It's right out of red, so think about that. So, all right.
We got 4 right now just on the Avengers 1.
I know. There's Avengers, there's Spider-Man, all these issues of Spider-Man we've been talking about. So,
is it every issue that's $4 that has a code in it? Is that the only one?
In Marvel, yeah. Do you see this? We can't offer you much in the way of DC, folks. But,
right.
$4 Marvel book has a digital code we don't ever wind up using.
Yep.
So,
very cool. So, yes, that is a good thing. We're not saying, but we're just saying.
Email address, JD?
So, So, so tweet us at FanboyVS or go to the website, fanboyversus.com. There's a link there to send us an email, which you can do as well. And also go to the website to get this show and everything. And don't forget we have an Android app as well, So if you have an Android phone, you can download the app. The app will alert you when we have a new episode up and ready to go, and you can download it and listen to it wherever you are on your Android device. Sorry, we're not on iOS. But anyway, it's on iTunes.
Everybody has an iPhone anyway.
It's on iTunes. What do you want from us? So, anyway, that is our show. Thanks so much for tuning in, and please tune in next time when it'll be Fanboy Versus.
This has been Fanboy Versus. Visit us at tfradio.net for show notes and to subscribe to the podcast. Follow us on Twitter at tfradio for news and updates. Like the podcast? Leave us feedback on iTunes. Copyright 2011 Radio Free Cybertron.